You are Locked On Astros POSTCAST. Part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Right back to their winning ways, the Astros go, and boy, oh boy, was it a Sunday fun day at Minute Maid Park. Welcome into the Locked On Astros postcast following the 9-4 victory over the Milwaukee Brewers today. The Astros keep the good times rolling since they've come back home. They have now won 6 of 7 games on this homestand. They are red hot, and after losing the baseball game last night, bouncing back in a big way today with good offense across the board, great starting pitching, and then on top of that, some good late-game hitting to add to the cushion to make it breathable for the Astros, which is always an appreciated thing for anybody. We've got a lot to get into. Kyle Tucker doing his thing. Altuve setting the tone early. Spencer Arrighetti, what a day for him until that 7th inning. So much to get to throughout this episode, but today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedonmlb and use code all lowercase lockedonmlb for a first deposit match up to $100. So the Astros today in the rubber match had to have that game, right? After last night's game, which sucked. Verlander, of course, one bad inning, and that was the ball game. The offense didn't do anything. It is what it is. Bouncing back huge. Give up a run there in the first inning to Arrighetti, and on the home run to, not the home run, the single to Christian Yelich. And you're like, okay, you never love when a young pitcher who's had some struggles early in baseball games comes out and gives up an early run. But bang, the Astros respond with 4. And they respond immediately thanks to Jose Altuve smacking a home run. But I think the most important thing overall, before we get into all the details of it, is the bouncing right back as a team. This team has played, underwhelming baseball overall in the season. Now, they've gotten red hot, and it's huge. And it's on a day where I got to check the latest score updates. I know that the Mariners were losing earlier. They did lose to the Orioles. The Rangers, they lost to the Angels. So the Astros gain in the division today. That's as good as it gets. But to not fall back into some sort of losing manner and by the way, they're 4 games out in the division again, 21 and 26. But not to fall back into your go play bad baseball 2 days in a row, creep back into bad habits, whatever it might be. They didn't do that today. They went out there and they turned it right back around. It's incredibly encouraging that they can do that. Those are the marks of a team that's starting to figure things out. And I will say, we've talked about it a lot. Where's your feeling on this team? Where's your feeling on the comeback of this season? And I think that this is as high as the vibes can get, that it's going to be a good comeback. They're going to be able to, at the very least, have themselves in the mix down the stretch of this season. Long, long way to go in it, but they're taking advantage of a portion of the schedule that they can take advantage of. And then they're playing a good team. That's another encouraging thing, is they played a good Milwaukee team this weekend, a team that's in first place in the NL Central. And they handled them 2 out of 3 today, or in this series. It's very, very nice. I think everything that they've done recently has reinstored my confidence in them as a baseball team. Still have some ways to go. I mean, you're still under 500. And again, being this record at 21 and 26 in this division allows you to be 4 games out. Most divisions, you'd be still 9-10 games out of the division. Almost all of them except for the NL Central. That's it. So they're getting a little bit lucky, but that's okay. Sometimes you have to be lucky, right? It's good to be lucky. They're 3.5 out as a wild card team right now, but They're playing like a team that is playoff capable. And I think that's the most encouraging thing. Spencer Arrighetti today, everything until that 7th inning was great. Now, look, I get it. And I got a lot of, got some tweets about it. I'm sure, we'll get in the comments mentions about it. Sending him back out there for the 7th. I didn't hate it. Hey, look, he's pitching his butt off today. At some point, you got to take the kid gloves off of pitchers and rookies, and you got to do it for the first time, right? He's pitching well. I think the thing that you could have an issue with is that you don't have the bullpen going and ready quicker. Don't let it get to bases loaded before you go to the bullpen. I'm more ticked off personally. I don't care about the decision overall to send him back out there, like I mentioned. I'm not too overly concerned that he gave up, that he put them in that spot where he gave up the runs. He ends up giving up or getting credited with the 4 runs. I'm more ticked off that Brian Abreu continues to come into games and he has just been trash this year. I guess the only way to put it. I know it's a tough situation. It's bases loaded. You're going to give up runs, but to give up all 3 inherited runners, like that's not elite. That's not what elite level back end relievers do. That's not what the guy that looked like a future closer last year should do. You're a power pitcher. You've got big stuff. And his inability this season to, 1, I feel like get anybody out with the fastball. 2, not located it at all. And he clearly has zero. All he does is throw sliders. That's it. All he does is throw sliders. He can't throw his fastball at all. And I've reached the point with him. I know that the ERAs come back down or whatever because he doesn't get the credit for the runs today. Those all go to Arrighetti. But my faith in him is just non-existent. It really isn't. And I hate that because last year, he was as nails as they get. I don't know. Hopefully he can find some sort of ability to throw the fastball. There's been some brief periods recently where the mechanics look like they get back into sync. He gets his body too far out in front at times for his arm to catch up, and that's kind of going away. But simply put, with him, you can't keep doing that and keep getting the opportunities he had. And I know that right now they don't have what Presley's been day to day. They're in a spot, and for everybody that's worrying about, you don't send Arrighetti back out there with 88 pitches. Again, at some point you got to test them. And 2, this bullpen has been upside down. That they've been using guys that they have to for 2 innings at a time because they got to get some guys some rest. It's called managing the season. I didn't have one issue with sending him back out there. The only issue is getting him out of there earlier in the inning. I don't know why I struggled to say all that. That's the only thing I have an issue with. Simple as that. Let's look at the guys that stepped up at the plate today, including a man that you need to pay. We've already paid one of them who did it big today. Let's talk about the other guy, though. Let's talk about all of them. And I can't forget about Jake Myers as well because, he's been fantastic. We got all of them to get to. We're going to continue to discuss. The Astros get the win today over the Brewers, securing the rubber match of the 3-game series. But right now, I need to tell you about Policygenius. Life insurance is a big deal. My wife and I were actually talking about this earlier today. You got to have life insurance. You got to put yourself in a spot where if something is going to happen, you need to leave your loved ones with the ability to deal with it. Life continues for them for as long as they keep going. There's a beginning and an end to everything, and getting that life insurance policy is as important as anything else. They are a trusted resource, is Policygenius. They're unbiased. They're going to take care of you and get you the right opinions for what your life insurance policy looks like. No incentive for them to go and recommend one insurer over another, so you can trust their guidance. Thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found the best fit for their needs. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonmlb or click in the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes. See how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonmlb. It's the Locked On Astros postcast live on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. As I always like to remind you, if you're new to the channel, well, you wouldn't know that. I remind you that. But if you are new, if you're watching for the first time today, please hit the subscribe button. You can find this show anywhere that you get your podcast. Search for Locked On Astros, and you will find this podcast plus the Locked On Astros podcast right there for your taking. So 2 podcasts for the price of free. Who doesn't love that? And if you're listening again on podcast, head over to the Locked On Sports Houston page on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. We do this after every game. And, of course, we won't just do this after only Astros games this year. We'll do it when the Texans get going. We'll do it when the Rockets get going, as well as the Houston Cougs. So this will be a busy channel year-round. You'll be able to join us for so much fun when it comes to Houston sports. It's going to be a blast. So please get ready for all of that. Plus, what's looking like going to be a better run for the Astros as the season continues to move along, because they are red hot. They win again today, 9-4 over the Brewers. They hold off. Got a little, hold your breath there for a second. That's okay. That's okay. They get a few more runs thanks to Kyle Tucker, their late. Kyle Tucker's first 3 at-bats today, strikeout, strikeout, strikeout. His next 2, home run, home run. Tied for the Major League lead. I think it's with Gunnar Henderson. I think he got to 15 today for the Baltimore Orioles. But Kyle Tucker tied for the Major League lead with 15 home runs. Didn't hit his 15th home run of the season last year until I think it was July. This guy has been as good as anybody on the planet this year. He's in the mix to win the MVP in the American League. He's one of the favorites right now to win the MVP in the American League. He's been awesome. Everything about his game has continued to elevate. Whether it's his strike zone discipline, I think he's either tied or right there ahead of Aaron Judge for the most walks in the American League, or maybe even the entire sport. He's just been so incredibly good. He gets big hits when they need him to. Because think about that situation there where he hits that home run in the 8th inning. I mean, look, Altuve grounds out and on a fielder's choice and gets Jake Myers in the rundown, and it's kind of continued the trend for Altuve of not coming through in big spots this season. Kyle Tucker's not been that guy that's struggled in those moments, and we've talked about it, but it's just worth mentioning every time it happens. The longer you wait, the longer the more games that he gets under his belt, the more numbers he continues to put up, he is going to absolutely get so much money, and you are going to sit there and tell us, "Oh, we can't afford him. We're not willing to commit that money." No, stupid. You got to lock in your cornerstones of your team. If you truly live by the words that you say, that the window's never closed, which that's what Jim Crane has been quoted saying this year. If you truly live by that, well, to live by that, you have to spin like that on certain players. And you have Altuve locked up. You have Jordan locked up. Those are 2 key pieces for the next 5-6 years. And I know that Jordan's not having his best year this year, but still, we all know at some point he's gonna play like Jordan. I mean, he's not gonna be terrible forever. But Kyle Tucker is your best player at this moment. He is your biggest threat at the plate, and he is getting better as the days move along. And I've just absolutely loved every single thing that you could see from him at the plate this year. And I think he's going to keep getting better as the season moves along. I think that he has a chance to be even better going into next season. Like, he has set himself up for such a massive payday. And it needs to happen with the Astros. And they need to get it done. If not during the season this year, you can't screw around. This offseason has to get done. Period. End of story. I'm not taking any excuses. I'm not going to listen to the BS. I will call out the BS that they will spew if they don't get it done. Not getting it done would be a travesty, an absolute travesty. I'm sick and tired of watching teams like, all these other teams spend money on players and teams win and everything. And I know that the Astros model is the Astros model. It's been great. It's what's gotten them here. There's nobody in the wings waiting to replace Kyle Tucker. Just a fact. And he's at 26, 27 years old. Nobody's going to come in, or he's not going to just fall off the face of the earth all of a sudden. He's going to be good for the majority of the contract. There's no way he's not. So simple as that. It has to happen. I don't want to sit here and have to listen to any of it again. I mean, look, they told us they were going to make him an offer, him and Bregman in spring training. Never did that. Why are you lying to our face? It's ridiculous. Don't say those things out loud if you're not going to go through with it. Make the offers. Make an actual attempt. Should have done it a couple of years ago, but you were stupid and you decided not to. And yes, you can be called stupid when you don't do something. And that's what they were. They were stupid to not sign him 2 years ago when they had conversations in the past. Now, those conversations were brought about by James Click, who got one of his guys done, who got Yordan Alvarez done at the time. Have the conversations. It's time. There's no point in waiting around. Get it done. Lock it in. So he's been great. Another guy that's been great has been Jake Myers. Jake Myers has an OPS over 900. He had an unbelievable series against the Brewers. Now, is he going to stay at this level all season long? No, of course not. He's Jake Myers. He's going to come back down to earth, and that's okay. But getting this out of him was so unexpected. Having him, really give you a reason to play him every day is completely unexpected. He's still not the world's great. He's a good center fielder when it comes to tracking balls and running balls down. He takes great angles. He's just a really, really instinctive defender when it comes to covering the outfield. Horrible noodle arm. But that's okay. You know what? It is what it is. Teams will run on him. They've got a good arm out and right. They're always going to have a good arm in left, whether it's Yordan or Dubon. Those two guys got cannons out there. Jake Myers has played his way into an everyday role. And Joe Espada got laughed at a lot in the offseason when he, basically came out at the winter meetings and said, hey, this is going to be our everyday center fielder. I've told him that. We believe in him. And again, this isn't going to be a player that's going to be one of your best players on the team all year long. He's got too much swing and miss in his game. He'll strike out. He gets into funks. His bad can be very bad. And it will get that way again at some point. But it's possible, like Chas McCormick did last year, that he's going to go out there and have a career year this year. And he makes you play him every single day. I'm telling you, it's going to be very interesting to see how this thing plays out soon, because McCormick's going to come back pretty soon. Who, by the way, he's been horrible on his rehab stint with the hooks. I think he's like 1 for 14. The roster's going to get a little shakeup here soon. For whatever reason, they're going to bring Jose Abreu back at the end of the week, it sounds like. I guess we can talk about that a little bit more here in just a couple of minutes. They're going to have McCormick back. They're going to get Urquidy back. They've got some roster crunch decisions to actually make because they're getting health in order in certain spots. So seeing what they do with that will be interesting. And, we'll analyze that as it comes. So all I know is that Jake Myers deserves some love, some big, big love for what he's done. And he's going to continue to play pretty much on an everyday basis right now until he gives them reason to not play him. He's been that darn good for this baseball team, which is just, to me, mind-blowing to an extent. Let's get to let's talk about the series coming up against the Angels. Let's talk about that news from before the game of Jose Abreu coming back this week. We'll do that in just a brief second. But right now, it's about PrizePicks. What are you waiting for? How have you not downloaded the PrizePicks app yet? I showed it to you the other night. I've got it on my phone. I get on there before games. I made season bets. I do all kinds of things with PrizePicks. It's so much fun. If you've not experienced it yet, it's basically going in and picking more or less for players in games. How cool is that? I'm a big fan of the NBA action on PrizePicks. I do dabble in the baseball world. I just love NBA action, points, rebounds, assists, things like that. They're all together. But you can get in on total hits. You can get in on first inning runs, whatever it might be, with PrizePicks. It's a great, great experience. It makes watching games so much more fun. It's the best way, as I mentioned, to get in on all the sports action. It's available across 30 states across the country, including our great state of Texas, California, Georgia. Want to play alongside of some of PrizePicks' favorite players like Meek Mill and Sugar Sean? Well, you could do that by joining the PrizePicks community and hitting community plays under the promo tab to view the entries of some of your favorite biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. They have quick withdrawals, easy game plan, and an enormous selection of players and stat types that are what make PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download that app and use that code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Locked on Astros postcast with you here on YouTube. Thank you for joining us today. Hit the subscribe button if you are new to it. We appreciate that. Also, you can find this show on podcast. And, well, when you do that, you can search for it anywhere. You'll get this show and the Locked on Astros podcast as well. So, again, go ahead and listen to it on podcast. Find the YouTube page, Locked on Sports Houston, and hit subscribe. We'll be here again tomorrow night when the Astros take on the Angels. The Angels, by the way, coming in playing better baseball. They helped the Astros out today. As they creep closer to second place in the American League West, they knocked off the Rangers, who fell back to 500. The Astros are now 21-26. They're 3.5 back of the Arlington Crew for second place in the division, 4 games out of the division lead in the American League West. This Angels team is still not good, though. It's as simple as that. They are in last place in the American League West. Like I mentioned, they've played a little bit better baseball as of late. So, you can't just completely look over them. But their lineup is not good. Their pitching staff overall is not good. They're going to fight, at least for a minute, or maybe for the whole season with Trout being out, with the A's for last place in this division. It just is what it is. So it's your chance to go out there and take care of business against a team that you should absolutely beat. And I think that's what, they're going to do. I'd be a little bit surprised if you don't win at least 2 or 3 against this Angels team, I think it's going to be a little bit disappointing to say the least. I'll never hope for a sweep, but if there was ever a series I look at and go sweep, it'd be this one. Fromber versus Reed Detmers tomorrow night. That's a 2.95 ERA for Fromber versus a 5.19 for Detmers. The Astros have had some success against him in the past. Javier versus Griffin Canning and his 5.21 ERA on Tuesday. Then Wednesday, day game, by the way, on Wednesday. We will be with you for that one. Hunter Brown, that's actually the only matchup that favors the Angels on paper. Hunter Brown up against Tyler Anderson, who's had a really good start to the year. His ERA is under 3. So those are your pitching matchups. But again, that team just does not have the ability to hit consistently at all. You should probably slaughter them a little bit. If there is one thing that we want to talk about here before we get out of the Locked on Astros postcast, it is the fact that if you did not see the news earlier for what Dana Brown was saying, and I'm pulling up the exact quote, I believe, from Chandler Rome of The Athletic earlier today from what Dana Brown said. Sometimes you got to scroll, you got to scroll when you're doing this live. I probably should have pulled it up earlier, but it is what it is. Astros general manager told Robert Ford today that Jose Abreu could rejoin the team this Friday in Oakland. Brown, Joe Espada, and Jeff Bagwell had a conversation yesterday about it. Brown said Abreu will play a few more games either in West Palm Beach or AAA before Friday. We always knew he's coming back. Like that's the part that you knew. I don't think that he should come back and immediately inherit every single at bat for the Astros at first base. It should still be the platoon role. But John Singleton hasn't, just been crazy good at first base, but he hits the baseball hard. He's had some productive outs, and he overall puts together a really, compared to Abreu, a far higher quality of an at bat because he has the ability to take walks. I don't know how long the leash will be when Abreu gets back, but I'm going to be honest with you. It should not be long. If he comes back and for the first, let's just say 2 weeks, he basically looks like the exact same player, which I'm going to go ahead and guess he probably will. There's no reason to keep him. Cut the bait, DFA him, eat the money. It's your first massive contract mistake that you've made overall as an owner for Jim Crane. Well, I shouldn't say only one. Lance McCullers' contract is complete dumpster fire as well. But you can't keep holding it out, especially because of the roster crunch that you're about to have. You have an easy send down when McCormick comes back and Cabbage. Okay, so you're going to send out Loperfido to bring back Jose Abreu, is what you're telling me? That's all you can do, right? There's not a single other player you're going to send out. And he's not worthy of being sent out. And it sucks for him. I guess you give him the ability to go down and play every day for a minute, but he's been fine. Like, he's hitting 333. He had another 2 hits today. Why haven't we seen him at first base? John Singleton's an easy one to get rid of because John Singleton's not going to be here forever. But Jose Abreu's not better than John Singleton right now. Just not. So I don't know. I really, really don't know. I'm going to be disappointed, but I know what's going to happen. I don't want to watch Jose Abreu play for the Astros again, but it is going to happen. Plain and simple. It is what it is. We'll see how that looks. If he does get back Friday, it's against Oakland. I guess that's a good landing spot. His first home run as an Astro last year, where he ran around the bases and slid, made the A's be all butthurt, but I'm not expecting much out of him. It's really the downer of the Sunday. I don't want to give you all the downers, though, because the club won again today. 9-4 final. They're 5 games under 500. They're 4 games out of the division now. They're red hot. They've won, I have to do the math off the top of my head again, 6 of 7 on this homestand. They are playing incredible baseball overall. You love to see it for this Astros club, who is giving us the feeling of they're back, baby. They very well could be back. Thank you for joining us today. Again, if you're new to the page, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to join us tomorrow night after the game ends. As soon as the game ends, we're live on this channel talking about Astros and Angels. It will hopefully be a very big win for the Stros. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon. I'm going to go watch some golf and then mow my yard, hopefully, if I have enough time left to do that. You guys stay safe, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night after Astros and Angels.